The cold was not normal. It was the kind of cold that burned the skin and stole breath with every second. The frozen wind moved like a living thing through the ruins of the old spaceport, cutting through broken walls and shattered metal. Most people had died here long ago. Only ghosts and forgotten machines remained. A boy named Kaelrin lay pressed against the ground near a cracked landing pad. His body was thin, wrapped in torn fabric that once might have been a blanket. His fingers were stiff and numb. He could no longer feel his feet. Every breath came out weak and white in the air. Kaelrin did not cry. He had learned long ago that crying wasted strength. Strength was precious. It kept him alive one more minute. Maybe two. Above him, the dark sky showed faint stars through thick clouds. Snow fell slowly, soft but deadly. Kaelrin counted the seconds between his breaths. He knew this cold. It had taken others. Friends. Faces he could no longer remember clearly. Tonight felt worse. He tried to stand, but his legs refused to move. Pain shot through his body, then faded into nothing. That scared him more than the pain. No feeling meant the end was close. Not yet, he whispered, though no sound came out. He crawled toward a broken wall, dragging his body across the ice. His vision blurred. Shapes bent and twisted. The ruins seemed to lean toward him, watching. Then he felt it. Warmth. At first, Kaelrin thought it was his mind breaking. The warmth was faint, like a memory. He pressed his palm against the ice, thinking maybe the metal below held heat from the old days. The warmth grew stronger. His eyes widened. He pulled his hand back. The ice beneath him glowed faint blue, like light trapped under glass. It pulsed once, then again, slow and steady. Kaelrin froze, not from cold this time. Something was under the ice. The ground trembled. A low sound rolled through the ruins, deep and soft, not loud but powerful. Snow slid off broken beams. Ice cracked in thin lines around the glow. Kaelrin tried to crawl away, but his body would not obey. Fear filled his chest, sharp and sudden. Whatever was beneath the ice was alive. And it was waking up. The glow brightened. The ice shattered. Chunks flew outward as something broke through from below. Kaelrin raised his arms to protect his face. Cold air rushed down into the hole as steam poured up, thick and white. Then a shape emerged. It was small, smaller than Kaelrin expected, no larger than a large dog. Its body was covered in dark, cracked scales that glowed faintly from within. Thin smoke rose from its back. Its wings were folded tight, torn at the edges. One leg dragged weakly as it pulled itself free of the ice. Kaelrin stared, frozen in shock. A dragon. He knew the word, though he had only heard it in old stories. Dragons were myths, ancient weapons, dead legends. Everyone said they were gone. The dragon collapsed onto the ice, breathing slowly. Its chest rose and fell with effort. One bright eye opened, glowing like fire behind glass. It looked at Kaelrin. The boy felt fear rush through him, but something else followed. Sadness. Pain. The dragon was hurt. Badly. The cold wind screamed between them. Kaelrin did not know why he moved. His body should not have been able to. But he crawled closer inch by inch. The dragon watched him, too weak to attack, too tired to flee. When Kaelrin reached out, the dragon flinched. "I won't hurt you," Kaelrin whispered, though his voice was barely sound. His hand touched the dragon's side. Heat flooded into him. It was not burning. It was gentle, deep, and steady. Kaelrin gasped as feeling rushed back into his fingers. The pain returned, sharp but alive. He laughed weakly, a broken sound, because pain meant he was still here. The dragon shifted closer without thinking, curling its body toward him. Heat surrounded Kaelrin, wrapping him like a shield. The wind no longer touched him. The cold pulled back, angry and defeated. Kaelrin pressed his forehead against the dragon's warm scales. Tears ran down his face, freezing halfway before melting again. "I was going to die," he whispered. The dragon made a low sound, almost like a purr, though it was rough and unsteady. Its eyes slowly closed. Above them, far beyond the clouds, something changed. A silent signal burst into space, weak but clear. Ancient energy woke long-dead machines. Lights flickered on in distant ships. The galaxy noticed. But Kaelrin did not know that. He only knew he was warm for the first time in years. He curled closer to the dragon, sharing heat and breath. In the frozen ruins of a forgotten world, two lost lives held on together as the storm raged around them, unaware that nothing would ever be the same again. Kaelrin woke slowly. The first thing he noticed was the heat. Not the bitter, fake warmth of sunlight through ice, but the deep, steady warmth that pulsed like a heartbeat next to him. The dragon had shifted during the night, curling its body more tightly around him. Its glowing scales were dim now, but the warmth remained, constant and reassuring. He had not moved, and he realized that he had slept longer than he ever remembered. The cold that had been clawing at his body the night before seemed distant, almost unreal. The ruins around him were still and white, snow covering jagged metal and shattered walls. The wind was quieter now, as if it too respected the presence of the small, fragile dragon and the boy who had dared to reach it. Kaelrin touched the dragon's side carefully. Its scales were surprisingly warm, not hard like metal but soft and alive, almost like skin beneath armor. When he rested his forehead against the dragon, he felt its pulse, slow and steady, filling the silence with life. It was the first time he had felt truly safe in months. The dragon blinked, lifting one bright amber eye to meet his. There was curiosity there and caution, but no aggression. Kaelrin noticed a thin scar along its wing, ragged and tender. It had been injured, perhaps by the storm, perhaps by hunters or machines that roamed the galaxy seeking dragons. Its small body trembled as it tried to balance itself, its breathing shallow. Kaelrin whispered, though he doubted the dragon could understand, "Don't worry. I'll keep you safe." The dragon tilted its head, watching him, and then leaned slightly closer. Its warmth seeped into him further, chasing the frost from his limbs. Kaelrin smiled faintly, amazed at how something so small could feel so powerful. He had expected fear, danger, maybe death, but instead he found life and comfort. Slowly he began to move. At first just a hand, then a knee, then finally upright. The dragon shifted its weight to accommodate him, curling around him like a living blanket. Kaelrin took a careful step, and the dragon mirrored him, moving as if it understood that he would not leave its side. The ruins were dangerous. Broken panels of metal jutted from the snow, and ice slicked the ground. Kaelrin stumbled once, but the dragon pressed against him, steadying him with a wing. He laughed softly at the thought that a dragon could act like a friend, or perhaps even a parent, protecting him as much as he protected it. As they moved through the abandoned hangars and shattered corridors, Kaelrin began to understand something important. This dragon was not just alive. It had chosen him. The pulse of warmth, the steady breathing, the cautious but trusting glance, all told him that the dragon had decided he was safe. In a galaxy that had forgotten kindness, that alone was remarkable. They found a small alcove in the ruins, shielded from wind and snow. Kaelrin helped the dragon settle there, using scraps of torn fabric and broken panels to make a rough bed. The dragon lowered its head, eyes closing, and heat radiated outward, filling the small space. Kaelrin lay beside it, letting the warmth seep into his numb fingers and stiff legs. Hours passed. Snow continued to fall outside, covering the ruins like a blanket. Kaelrin's stomach grumbled. He had not eaten since the night before. But he did not worry. The dragon's presence made everything seem manageable. Hunger, cold, fear, they all seemed smaller. He whispered to the dragon, "I don't know what we are yet, friends? Partners? Family?" The dragon shifted slightly, nudging his hand with its snout. Kaelrin laughed softly. Maybe it was all three. From far above, faint energy signals began to hum. Kaelrin did not notice, too focused on the living warmth beside him. But the galaxy had begun to stir. Ships and sensors that had long considered dragons extinct were awakening to a new signal. A small pulse of life, unique and undeniable. One human, one dragon, together, sending out a heartbeat that could not be ignored. Kaelrin looked around the ruins, the silence almost reverent now. Shadows moved differently in the glow of the dragon's scales. Shapes that had once seemed threatening were softened by light and warmth. And for the first time in a long while, Kaelrin did not feel like an orphan. He felt chosen. Needed. Alive. The dragon's breathing slowed as it slept, and Kaelrin drifted between wakefulness and sleep, listening to its heartbeat. He realized that fear was no longer controlling him. The cold had lost its power. And the darkness around them, once endless, was now filled with a single, steady glow. In that quiet moment, Kaelrin made a promise to himself, though he did not speak it aloud. He would protect this dragon no matter what came. He would share his warmth, his life, even his strength. And together they would face whatever dangers the galaxy held. Outside, the wind howled, snow fell, and the ruins seemed empty. Inside, a boy and a dragon shared warmth in the darkness, and for the first time, both felt hope. Kaelrin woke to a sound that made his heart race. Outside the alcove there was movement, not the wind, not the shifting snow, but the low hum of engines. His pulse quickened. He peeked out through the cracked panels of the ruined hangar. In the distance, dark ships hovered above the ice, scanning with bright lights. "They're here," Kaelrin whispered, and the dragon stirred beside him. Its eye opened slowly, glowing faintly in the darkness. Kaelrin could feel the dragon's tension. Even small as it was, Thrixa, he had decided to name the dragon that understood danger. Kaelrin grabbed a piece of metal to use as a weapon. It was barely heavy enough to swing, but he would try. "We can't hide forever," he said softly to the dragon, though the dragon already seemed to know. Its wings flexed slightly, ready to move. The hunters were not ordinary people. Kaelrin had seen hollow reports of them before. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and corporate agents who collected rare creatures across the galaxy. Dragons, thought extinct, were their ultimate prize. He had only one chance: escape or be captured. Kaelrin nudged Thrixa with his hand. "We have to move. Now." The dragon responded immediately, leaping lightly over a broken wall. Kaelrin followed, stumbling but keeping pace. The ice crunched under his feet. Snow sprayed from their movement, hiding them from the low-hanging searchlights. But Kaelrin knew it would not be enough. From above, one of the ships dropped a scanning drone. A bright beam of light swept across the ruins. Kaelrin held his breath. Thrixa pressed close, its heat warming his frozen hands. The drone passed overhead, missing them by inches. Kaelrin exhaled quietly, barely moving to avoid detection. They moved carefully through corridors and broken machinery, using the ruins as cover. Kaelrin noticed scorch marks and broken panels from long-forgotten defenses. Perhaps these ruins had once been a fortress. Now they were their only chance to survive. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the hangar. One of the hunters had detected something. Kaelrin's stomach dropped. He tugged Thrixa behind a thick metal wall. The hunter's footsteps were heavy, boots crunching the ice. Kaelrin felt Thrixa's body tense. The dragon's pulse quickened. Kaelrin whispered, "We'll get through this. We have to." He remembered the warmth from the dragon the night before. That warmth was not just comfort, it was strength. Together they were more than a boy and a small dragon. They were a team. The hunters passed, moving toward another part of the ruins. Kaelrin exhaled slowly. "Okay," he whispered, "we have to go further. They won't give up." They climbed higher into the ruins, to a place where the metal frames and broken panels gave them a view of the outside. Kaelrin scanned the horizon. The ships were still there, hovering like predators. One of them began to descend closer to the ice, and he could see figures moving, hunters carrying energy weapons designed to capture Thrixa alive. Kaelrin shivered, not from cold this time but from fear. He looked at the dragon. Its small wings twitched, ready to fight or flee. Kaelrin reached out, placing his hand on the glowing scales. "We're not just hiding anymore," he said. "We need a plan." He thought quickly. The ruins had an old elevator shaft, a vertical drop that might lead to the lower ice tunnels beneath the port. Dangerous, yes, but a place the hunters might not reach immediately. Kaelrin nodded to Thrixa. The dragon lowered its body, ready to leap. Kaelrin counted quietly. 3, 2, 1, go. They leapt together. Kaelrin gripped a jagged metal pipe as he fell, and the dragon clung to his side with surprising strength. Ice scraped his clothes, cut his hands, but the warmth of Thrixa's body kept him alive. They landed hard on the frozen ground below, hidden from the scanning lights above. The ice tunnels were narrow, dark, and twisting. Kaelrin led the way, using scraps of old maps he had memorized. Thrixa stayed close, using its glowing scales sparingly to guide them. The hunter's searchlights scanned the tunnels, but the metal and ice distorted the beams, giving them precious seconds. Hours passed. Kaelrin's muscles ached, his body was exhausted, but he refused to stop. Every sound made him tense. Every shadow seemed to stretch into something more dangerous. Yet, despite the fear, he felt alive in a way he had never known. He was protecting something precious, something the galaxy had forgotten, and that gave him purpose. Eventually, they reached a place where the tunnels opened into a small cavern, hidden from above. Kaelrin allowed himself to sit for a moment, brushing the snow from his hair. Thrixa curled around him again, heat radiating like armor. Kaelrin realized that the galaxy would not forget this dragon. Its presence would draw hunters, scientists, and soldiers from all corners. But it also meant something else, something he did not yet understand. He had found a friend, a companion, someone who needed him as much as he needed them. And together they could face whatever came next. Outside, the dark sky remained quiet, but the hum of distant ships grew louder. Kaelrin pressed his hand to Thrixa's side and whispered, "We survived the first wave. But they will not stop. Not ever." The dragon made a low, soft sound, almost like agreement. Kaelrin smiled faintly through his fear. He did not know what the galaxy would send next, but he knew one thing: he would not let Thrixa be taken. not while he still drew breath. In the darkness of the ice tunnels, a boy and a dragon moved as one. The galaxy might be hunting them, but together they had found warmth, courage, and the first taste of hope. Kaelrin crouched in the shadows of the ice cavern, his breath fogging the cold air. The faint hum of ships outside was constant, a reminder that the galaxy was not willing to let them hide. He felt the weight of the decision pressing on him. Stay hidden and risk being discovered, or move forward and face the unknown. Thrixa shifted beside him, nudging his arm gently. The dragon's warmth seeped through Kaelrin's coat, calming his nerves. The small creature had survived the hunters so far because of instinct, but Kaelrin knew instinct alone would not keep them alive. They needed a plan, and he had to choose the path. He looked through the cavern's opening toward the frozen landscape. Beyond the ice cliffs lay the old transport tunnels, abandoned for decades but still mapped in scattered records. If they could reach them, they might travel far enough to evade the hunters. But the route was dangerous, with narrow ledges, hidden crevasses, and the chance of being spotted from the sky. Kaelrin clenched his fists. Fear pressed against him like a storm, whispering that they should wait, hide, and hope the ships gave up. But every second of waiting was a second the hunters could find them. He looked at Thrixa. The dragon's eyes glowed faintly, reflecting a trust he could not betray. "You have to choose," he whispered to himself. "Do we hide forever, or do we fight for a chance at freedom?" The dragon nudged him again, and Kaelrin felt a surge of resolve. This was no longer just survival, it was courage. The boy and the dragon had become partners. One could not act without the other. And together they had to step into danger to find safety. Kaelrin led Thrixa to the cavern's edge. The ice beneath their feet was slick, and a strong wind swept through, threatening to throw them off balance. He steadied himself, gripping a jagged icicle for support. Thrixa flexed its wings, ready to leap if needed. As they moved forward, the distant hum of the hunters' ships intensified. Kaelrin pressed his back against the wall, listening to the rhythm of the engines. They were close. He felt the sting of adrenaline sharpen his senses. Every sound, every movement could mean life or capture. They reached a narrow ridge high above the frozen plains. Below, the terrain dropped sharply into deep snowdrifts. Kaelrin paused, his heart racing. One wrong step could mean a deadly fall. He looked at Thrixa, whose small body quivered slightly, but whose eyes met his with unwavering trust. Kaelrin took a deep breath. "We jump together," he said firmly. The dragon lowered itself, its wings brushing the icy edge. Kaelrin climbed onto its back, pressing close to the warm scales. The wind tore at his hair and coat as the drop loomed below. He felt the fear clenching his chest, but he pushed it down, replacing it with determination. "1, 2, 3, he shouted. Thrixa leapt. The dragon's wings flared, catching the wind as they fell together. Ice and snow whipped past them, but the small creature adjusted midair, using instinct and strength Kaelrin had never imagined. The leap carried them safely onto a ledge below, hidden from the scanners above. Kaelrin slid from the dragon's back, brushing snow from his clothes. His legs trembled, but he smiled faintly. They had chosen action over fear, and for now it had worked. Thrixa pressed against him, warmth flowing into his frozen body. The dragon seemed to understand that this choice, this act of bravery, had shifted their fate. They moved cautiously along the ledges and through hidden crevices, finding shelter in ice caves that had not seen humans, or dragons, for decades. Kaelrin traced the walls with his fingers, searching for cracks, exits, and signs of safety. Each step required focus and care, but he felt the power of choice guiding him. Fear still lingered, but it no longer controlled him. At last they reached the old transport tunnels. The entrance was partially blocked by fallen ice and debris, but Kaelrin pushed with all his strength. Thrixa helped, nudging with its snout and scraping with claws. Slowly, a narrow path opened, just enough for them to slip inside. The tunnels were dark, silent except for the distant echoes of dripping water. Kaelrin's chest heaved as he looked at the dragon. "We made it," he whispered. "Because we chose to move. Because we chose courage over fear." Thrixa nuzzled him, a soft rumble vibrating through the cavern. Kaelrin understood, it was more than gratitude. It was recognition of the bond that had formed between them, strengthened by the choices they had made together. They were no longer just a boy and a dragon, they were partners in survival, allies against the galaxy that hunted them. As they ventured deeper into the tunnels, Kaelrin felt a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. Every step they took was a step into danger, but also a step into freedom. He knew that the hunters would not give up easily, that the galaxy had its eyes on them, and that future choices would test them again. But for now, in the warmth of Thrix's presence and the quiet of the tunnels, Kaelrin allowed himself to breathe. They had chosen courage. They had chosen each other. And that choice, stronger than fear, had opened a path where none had seemed possible. Outside, the wind howled, and the distant hum of engines faded slightly as the hunters searched elsewhere. Inside the tunnels, a boy and a dragon moved together, alive, defiant, and ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. The choice they had made was no longer just survival, it was a promise of hope. Kaelrin sat in the dim light of the ice tunnels, his hands pressed against Thrix's glowing scales. The dragon's warmth spread through him, chasing away the last of the cold that had clung to his bones. Outside, the distant hum of hunters' engines had faded, but Kaelrin knew it was only a matter of time before the galaxy remembered them. For now they were safe. He looked at the small dragon curled beside him. Thrix's eyes shimmered in the shadows, a mixture of trust and understanding. Kaelrin realized how much he had changed in the past days. He had gone from a scared boy hiding from the world to someone willing to face danger, not for himself, but for the dragon he had promised to protect. "We did it, Thrixa," he whispered. "We survived. And we'll survive again together." The dragon made a low, soft rumble, almost like agreement. Kaelrin smiled. It was not just sound, it was connection. The dragon had given him something he could not have imagined before: courage, warmth, and a sense of purpose. Kaelrin thought back to the streets where he had once wandered, alone and freezing, and then to the first moment he had met Thrixa, shivering in the snow. One act of kindness had led to this bond that could challenge the galaxy itself. He understood now that small choices could ripple across worlds, shaping destinies in ways no one could predict. The tunnels led them deeper underground, twisting through ice and stone until they opened into a hidden chamber. Water dripped from the walls and the floor was slick with melted ice. But Kaelrin felt a sense of home here, a place apart from hunters, ships, and fear. He and Thrixa had carved a space where they could rest, plan, and grow stronger together. Kaelrin knelt beside a small pool of water and dipped his hands in, splashing the dragon lightly. Thrixa let out a delighted chirp, shaking droplets from its scales. Laughter, quiet and small, escaped Kaelrin's lips. For the first time in a long while, he felt free, not just from cold or danger but from the weight of loneliness that had always pressed on him. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The galaxy will not forget you, but neither will I. We'll face them all and we'll do it together." The dragon nudged him, pressing closer. Kaelrin wrapped his arms around Thrixa, feeling the strength in its body, the warmth that had saved him more than once. It was a power unlike any weapon, any ship, any army, the power of connection, trust, and care. Outside, the stars glittered faintly through cracks in the ice above. Kaelrin looked up, imagining the vast galaxy that stretched beyond the tunnels. Somewhere out there hunters and empires might be plotting, but here, in this small space, a boy and a dragon had changed something. They had survived against the odds, not with violence or fire, but with courage and kindness. Kaelrin thought about what the future might hold. He knew challenges would come, that the galaxy was vast and dangerous, and that every step forward would require more courage. But he also knew something more important. He was not alone. Thrixa was with him, and together they had warmth strong enough to face anything. Hours passed as they rested, the quiet of the tunnels wrapping around them like a protective cloak. Kaelrin closed his eyes, letting the dragon's warmth seep into him completely. For the first time he felt whole. Every fear, every shiver, every moment of doubt had led to this, the bond that would carry them through every storm ahead. Eventually, Kaelrin rose and stretched, brushing the snow from his coat. He looked down at Thrixa, whose small body was glowing faintly in the darkness. "We'll need to move soon," he said softly. "The hunters won't give up, but neither will we." The dragon lifted its head, eyes bright, wings twitching slightly. Kaelrin could feel its anticipation, its readiness to follow him wherever he went. He smiled. "Then we go," he said. Together they stepped toward the tunnel's exit, ready to face the galaxy with a courage that was more than physical. It was the courage born of trust, love, and shared survival. As they emerged into the moonlit ice fields, Kaelrin realized how far they had come. He and Thrixa had survived storms, hunters, and the cold that could kill. They had faced fear and chosen courage instead. And now, in the quiet shimmer of starlight, he understood something extraordinary. The warmth between them was more than just heat. It was a force that could change worlds, a bond that could echo across the stars. Kaelrin reached out, touching the dragon's scales once more. "We did more than survive, Thrixa," he said. We've made a beginning that even the galaxy will remember. The dragon made a soft, glowing sound almost like a laugh and nuzzled his hand. In that moment Kael'ren knew that nothing would ever be the same. A boy and a dragon, united by one act of kindness and a lifetime of trust, had created warmth strong enough to challenge the coldness of the universe. And together they would carry that warmth forward, wherever the stars might lead them. The night sky stretched endlessly above the ice. Kael'ren and Thrixa stood side by side, small figures against the vast galaxy, but their bond, their courage and their warmth were immense. The universe had watched them, and in that quiet, brilliant moment, it had been changed forever.